Other subjects, we're joined once again by Don Lemon. Also joining us, our CNN political contributor, the Democratic strategist, Paul Begala, and our other CNN political contributor, the Republican strategist, Ed Rollins. Paul, you've written a lot of political speeches over the years. Were you satisfied, thrilled, disappointed with how the president did yesterday?
I thought it was a terrific speech. I thought Wolf did everything he needed to do. This was the transition moment, and not only in our government, but from what Mario Cuomo used to call the poetry of campaigning to the prose of governing. And I thought he struck just the right tone. It's very muscular, particularly for a Democrat, which we sometimes get accused of being wimpy. It's a very strong speech on international affairs and just as strong on domestic. He gave the old Heisman to President Bush. It was a very tough stiff arm to the former administration. But then he also, I think, managed the expectations. That's probably the most important communications goal that he has, is to manage expectations, to tell people this is going to be very difficult and that we have to put aside childish things, as he said, quoting St. Paul's letter to the Corinthians, and move on and take responsibilities. I thought it was a great speech. I loved it.
Ed, what did you think?
I thought it was an extraordinary speech, for two reasons. Unlike Paul, I'm not a speechwriter, so the words are not as important to me as the presence. He had a very, very strong presence. He walked out in front of 2 million people. No American leader has ever walked in front of 2 million people, and he had great presence. I could see him as the commander-in-chief. I could see him talking to the American public, giving them straight talk, telling them things are going to be tough. We're going to move away from the Bush administration. He was very courteous to Bush throughout the day. But I thought it was an extraordinary speech, and I compare it to many of the great ones, Ronald Reagan's speech in 1980 and others.
He does have those unique communication skills, Don. You've pointed it out many times. We certainly saw it unveiled during the primary, the general election campaign, and I think it's going to be one of his secret weapons, at least in the short term.
Absolutely, Wolf, and I think we're all in agreement here on this. I think what many people, historians and pundits wanted was this sort of soaring rhetoric and inspiration. Barack Obama's job and his campaign team's job was to get people, to inspire people to go to the polls. This was a but-look moment, and as a parent, I'm sure you know, you tell your kids, you can do everything, you inspire them to move on and try to achieve everything, but look. Here is how you accomplish it. And I think that's what Barack Obama did yesterday. He did what he needed to do. He was stern, he was real, but the inspiration came before the election to get people to go to the polls and involve people, many African Americans, many people who felt disenfranchised, in order to go out and support him.
Hillary Clinton tomorrow will be sworn in as the nation's Secretary of State, Paul, at a formal ceremony at the State Department. She's given up her seat in the United States Senate 94-2. Wow. Didn't seem like she had much of a problem in the full Senate.
No, and even most of her ardent critics in the Senate admire her for being the thorough, disciplined, patriotic, obviously, person that she is. And so I was impressed and proud of that. Particularly, I think it's meaningful to those of us who love Hillary like I do, to see Senator McCain, who, just 10 weeks ago, who lost the presidency, stand up and endorse her, vote for her, and in fact, wag his finger a bit at Senator John Cornyn of Texas, the Republican from Texas, the senator who delayed that confirmation for just 1 day. But even 1 day, it could be very important in our national security. So I thought it was a wonderful moment, and that Senator McCain, Senator Lindsey Graham, a conservative Republican of South Carolina, who also took the Senate floor and called for his colleagues to support Senator Clinton. So it was a wonderful moment of bipartisanship.
Only 2 Republicans, Jim DeMint of South Carolina and David Vitter of Louisiana, had actually voted against her. The others who were making noises, they all voted to support her.
I think there's great respect for Hillary. I mean, the truth of the matter is a couple hundred more delegates should have been being sworn in yesterday as the first woman president. May not have been quite as exciting as Barack's, but she's certainly qualified to be Secretary of State. I think that she'll represent this country well. I think she'll represent this president well, and I think that's what it's all about.
As you look at David Patterson, he's got to make a major decision now about Caroline Kennedy or someone else, because the clock is ticking. They're going to lose a United States Senator, Don, tomorrow in New York State, and they've got to he's got to decide. Apparently, his press secretary says by Saturday he'll make up his mind and have a decision.
Yeah, he's got to decide by then. But what most people are saying, they don't know who to hedge their bets towards, because David Patterson is very much his own man and will decide whoever he thinks should get that seat, whether or not the public agrees with him or not. We had this conversation with the Reverend Al Sharpton, Wolf, over the weekend during the inaugural coverage, who is very close and knows David Patterson, I should say very close to Caroline Kennedy, and he couldn't figure out one way or another, which way David Paterson would go.
We'll wait and see. There were a few snags today. I guess that's to be expected, Paul, as we watch what's going on at the White House. Some doors weren't necessarily working. But on this first day, what do you think overall? How did he do in terms of the symbolism and the message he's trying to convey the first full